Erev Tov, everyone. It is Monday night. It is 8 p.m. here on the east side of the United States, here in the diaspora. This is the Maimon Beit Knesset, therefore it must be Zeyde Story Corner. Good to have you all here with us this evening. It's good to take a break from the terrible things in the world to just kind of sit back and relax and enjoy a story. You know, today when I was reading up on tonight's story, I was thinking about all the poor little kinderlach that will not ever be able to hear these stories, and those who are being held captive who aren't going to be able to be with us to listen to the stories. So, we are going to dedicate tonight's story to all of them. And this one is called The Sinbad of the Talmud. Now, you may have thought, and the world may have thought, that the whole Sinbad thing was an Arab story, but it was actually taken from the Talmud about Rabbi Hanai. So, we will continue on with the story. This is a long story, and we are going to do the whole thing tonight. So, stay tuned. Okay, here we go. Rabbi, silly Rabbi, you caught another whale today. With this strange cry, a number of children following an elderly man through the streets of a town in the east. Their parents looked on in amusement, and some of them called after the man as the little ones did. Rabbi, however, took no notice, but walked straight on with a faraway look in his eyes, as if his thoughts were elsewhere. Presently, on turning the corner of a street, he nearly ran into an Arab coming in the opposite direction. As soon as the children saw the Arab, they turned and fled. Ali Rabbi is coming, they cried to one another in warning, and as fast as their legs would carry them, they made off to their homes. The Arab shook his fist threateningly after the children. Then he turned to the man whom they had followed. "It is a shame," he said hotly, "that the impudent ragamuffins of this town should be allowed to cast words of disrespect in the public streets at my sainted master, Rabbi Bar Hana, the man of profound learning and the famous traveler." "Be gentle, good Ali," replied the Rabbah. "Remember, they are little more than babes and have not full understanding. And how can they be respectful when their parents, who should have wisdom and faith, accept not our stories of the many adventures we have had? Yesterday I told them of the day when our ship was surrounded by 5,000 whales, each a mile long, and they jeered and cried, 'Impossible!' 'Impossible!' echoed Ali in rage. 'Was I not there with thee, my master? Did I not count every single whale myself? Who dares to doubt my word? Have I not for years been thy faithful guide on thy marvelous journeys? Bah! What know these town fools? Those lives are no wider than the narrow streets on which they dwell, of the wonders of the vast world beyond the seas. Fools! Ignorant fools! Every one of them, my good master. Why should you stay with them and brook their insults and their sneers? Let us journey forth again this very day. A good ship waits in the harbor. Ali's voice grew louder and louder as his rage became stronger and the crowd was collecting. Rabbi hurried him away, and together they made for the harbor. There they were soon engaged in earnest conversation with the captain of a vessel that had come from a distant land. I shall be glad to have two such famous travelers on my ship, said the captain. I have heard of your adventures, and in my country 'tis said that only they meet with wonders who dare to seek them and believe in them. I too would see the wonders of the world, and gladly will I give you passage on my ship. Well, the next day, Rabbi and Ali stood on the deck of the vessel as the sail was hoisted, and it moved slowly from the harbor to the accompaniment of cheers and some laughter from the crowd on shore. It doesn't want to turn. Yeah, I know it doesn't want to turn. So before and so, nope. Yeah, and now it jumped. Silly Rabba, Ali Rabba, don't forget to bring back the moon, they cried. Find out where it goes when it is not here. Soon the land was out of sight, and scudding before favorable breezes, the ship made good progress. In 10 days it had reached a sea in which no vessel had ever sailed before. Ali said he could tell this because the fishes behaved queerly. They poked their heads out of the water to gaze at the ship, and then they dart swiftly out of sight again. It was quite plain that they had never before seen a ship, and they evidently mistook it for some strange sea monster. Every day the fishes grew larger, but no land was sighted until another 5 days had passed. Then a desert island appeared straight ahead, and the captain steered toward it. A few blades of grass grew here and there, and Rabbi determined to land and explore the island. Accompanied by his faithful Ali, he entered a small boat and was rowed to the shore. They found a few vegetables growing that they had never seen before, and so, collecting twigs from the short, stumpy bushes, they made a fire to cook them. While the vegetables were cooking, they looked around. It seems a vast land, said Rabbi, and yet over there, about 3 or 4 miles away, I think I see water. I think so too, said Ali. This must be the width of the land, but in the other directions I can see no end. But hark, what is that sound? 'Tis like the rumbling of an earthquake, said Rabbi, and I am sure I felt the ground move. Indeed, it seemed to me as if it is heaving up and down like a living thing. A shout from the boat caused them to look in that direction, and they saw their comrades pointing wildly and calling upon them to come back. Looking in the direction indicated, they saw the land rise up like a huge mountain, and a tremendous stream of water gushed forth. "'Tis not land, this is a whale," cried the rabbi in alarm. "Our fire has awakened it from its slumber. Let us hasten to the ship before the monster plunges and drowns us." They hurried back to the boat and boarded the ship just as the whale began to move. It sank below the waves to quench the fire on its back, but it rose again, and then the vessel found itself in a new danger. It was lying between the body of the monster and one of its fins. "Let me take command," said Ali. "I know best how to act in times of danger like this. We must avoid being struck by the fin, or we shall be destroyed. We must find the way the monster is moving and go in the opposite direction. Otherwise, we shall be wrecked when it comes to the place where the fin joins the body." There was no sleep for the crew that night. Everyone watched carefully, for the least false move may have meant instant disaster. Luckily, the whale began to move on the surface of the sea again and against the wind, so that the ship traveling in the opposite direction had the wind behind it. Swiftly flew the ship before the breeze, but the fin seemed to have no end, although the whale was traveling fast too. 3 days and 3 nights the ship continued before it came to the end of the fin. That's some fish, huh? Then everyone on board breathed more freely. "That was a lucky escape," said the captain to Rabbah. "Speak not too soon," replied the latter. "I have fears yet. We must hasten to get completely away from this monster. But the wind does not favor any alternate course." Even as he spoke, there was a great commotion in the water, and the whale began to move backwards at so fearful a speed that they could scarcely see it. The water was violently agitated, and the ship was tossed about as if it were a mere cork. Like a cork in a bathtub, eh? The whole day this lasted. Then the motion grew slower as the head of the whale came past the ship. "See!" cried Ali excitedly. "A small fish has stuck in the nostril of the monster. That is the cause of the commotion. The monster will surely be killed." The agitation of the water now died down, and it was seen that the whale was beginning to turn over. "The monster is dead," said Rabbah. "It will float on the waves like a vast desert island and will be a danger to ships." Well, for several days the vessel was compelled to follow the dead whale. Whenever an attempt was made to move away, the current or the wind changed and the carcass of the monster followed the ship. The captain did not like this at all, for it was dangerous in the extreme. He was afraid that the dead whale would strike the vessel and wreck it. At last, land was in sight. Not even Rabba and Ali could recognize this country. They said they had never seen it before. Beautiful cities dotted the shore, but to everyone's alarm, the body of the whale began to float toward the land. To make matters worse, a storm arose, and the monster rose and fell with each motion of the angry waves. The cities will be destroyed if the whale strikes them, cried the Rabbi, and it is impossible for us to warn the people. Nearer and nearer the whale was driven, while the captain of the ship did his utmost to keep away so as not to be struck by the backwash. At length, with a tremendous crash, the monster was flung by the waves, which had increased to a great height, against the shore. Above the shrieking wind could be heard the noise of falling buildings and the wild cries of the people. A huge wave caught the ship and carried it a mile out to sea, and then whirled it back again at a speed that made the crew hold their breath in awe. It seemed certain that the vessel would be dashed to pieces on the land, and the crew and the cries of warning and alarm made haste to lash themselves to the mast. The mighty waves swept over the land, over the ruins of the towns, carrying the ship with it, and finally deposited it among the trees of a dense forest a mile from shore. That was a big wave, huh? Yet, lest we are safe for the present, said the Rabbah, when he recovered from the shock and the surprise, we are more fortunate than the poor people who have been overwhelmed by this strange disaster. I should like to know how I am going to get my ship back to the sea, said the captain. I never heard of such a predicament before. Rabba merely shrugged his shoulders, and with Ali he walked to the shore. An extraordinary sight met their gaze. Thousands of people were rushing madly to the forest. Everywhere was ruin and desolation. All the towns along the coast, 60 in number, they learned afterwards, had been destroyed by the stranding of the monster and the tidal wave that followed. And what had not been leveled and swept out to sea had been carried inland to the forest and beyond. All along the coast, as far as the eye could see, lay the body of the whale like a mountain range. And hundreds of people ran up and down, weeping bitterly and wringing their hands. Rabbi gathered as many of them as he could together and addressed them. Good people, he said, ye are victims of a terrible calamity that has robbed you at one cruel blow of your homes and many of you of your families. But ye have survived and have duties to yourself and to the future. In this hour of grief, despair not. There lies the fearful monster that has been your destruction. It shall also be your salvation. Its body can supply you all with food. What you cannot eat, you can salt and store for the future. Thousands of casks of oil can be obtained from its bladder, and with this ye can trade. Then too its bones are valuable. The people thanked Rabbah for his good advice, and immediately they set about doing what he bade them. They told him that this was a bewitched country, the country of Keshef, abounding and terrible monster both on land and in the sea, and ruled over by a malignant jinn called Hamas, who gave them no peace. They asked Rabbah to try to kill this sprite, who said that only a stranger to the land could do him harm. And so Rabbah and his faithful Ali, mounted on horses, set forth on this new adventure. "I think I know this country," said Ali. "I believe I landed once on the other shore. We cannot be far from the wilderness in which the Israelites wandered." For several days they journeyed through forests and across plains, and nothing happened. At last they came to a broad, high wall which barred their progress. They could find no opening through which to pass, and while they were wondering what to do, a strange figure suddenly appeared on the wall. One of his legs was longer than the other, and his arms were also of different length. His ears and eyes were also unequal, and he hopped and bounded along the wall at an amazing speed. "My name is Hamas," he cried. "Who are ye?" "Strangers," called Rabbah, and as soon as he heard the word, the sprite darted swiftly off along the top of the wall. But although the horses ran at topmost speed, they could not overtake him, and he quickly disappeared. Where he was lost to sight, however, there was a hole in the wall, and through this Rabbah and Ali just managed to take their horses. A vast wilderness lay before them. Ali picked up 2 clods of earth and smelled them. "As I thought," he said, "this is the wilderness of the Israelites. Come, I will show thee some strange sights." Before nightfall, they came to a place where the bodies of a large number of men lay strewn on the ground. "These men must have been giants," said Rabbah, as Ali, with his spear uplifted, rode under the raised knee of one of the bodies. "These must be the bodies of the Ephraimites who left Mitzrayim before the rest of the children of Israel and were slain." Rabbah cut off a portion of a garment that still covered one of the bodies, but when he tried to move, he could not. He seemed to be rooted to the spot, nor could his horse move. Oh, cried Ali, "my horse, it's lost its power to move. Thou must have taken something from the dead. Return it, good master, or we shall be held here fast until we perish." Rabbi returned the piece of garment, and they were able to move again. They hurried from the place and came to a chasm in the ground from which smoke was rising. This is the pit in which Korach and his children were swallowed, said Ali. That must have been an awesome sight, said the rabbi. I have heard that the pit became like a funnel, and that the air all around ebbed and sucked in everything that belonged to Korach, even the things that people had borrowed from him, such as dishes, rolled along the ground from a distance into the pit. Come, let's hasten away from this place. Well, they continued on their journey for many days, but could not see the demon again. One day, the desert ended, and they came to the sea. They encamped for the night, and when in the morning broke, Rabbah was surprised to find that the basket in which they kept their provisions had disappeared. And here we're going to take our break, friends. Okay, when we come back, we'll find out more if Rabbi and Ali find the Jinn Hamas and if they get their basket of goodies back. So, we take a quick 6-minute break, and when we return, we will find out more. So, please stay tuned. We'll be back in 6.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. And now, on with the show.
And we are back. Okay, shall we find out what happens to Rabah and Ali? Okay, see if they find the Jinn Hamas, huh? Okay. So, let's see, where did we leave off? Okay, so that's right, their basket of goodies had disappeared on them. Okay. I think I can explain, said Ali. No thieves have been here, but this is the edge of the world, the edge of the earth. Here, once every 24 hours, the sky and the earth in their revolution scrape together. The sky must have caught up your basket and carried it away. It will return at the same hour tomorrow morning. Oh, that's interesting, huh? Rabbah awoke the next morning before the sunrise and saw his basket floating down to earth on a cloud. Both he and Ali were overjoyed when they recovered it, for they were very hungry. While they were eating, the sky grew dark, and looking up, they saw what appeared to be a great cloud above their heads. Out of the sea, a mighty tree seemed suddenly to have grown. They moved cautiously forward to investigate, "Take heed," cried the voice of thunder. "I am a bird standing in the water. It is so deep with such swift currents that 7 years ago an axe fell in, and it has not yet reached the bottom." Rabbi and Ali crouched on the ground in great fear until at last Rabbi called, "Mighty bird, may we seek your help? We are anxious to find the wicked jinn Hamas and slay him, so the people shall be free." "Follow me," answered the bird, and like a spreading cloud it flew along the coast. Rabbi and Ali followed on their horses. "Look!" cried Ali, suddenly pointing at the sea. A huge snake and a dragon were fighting, and at last the sea serpent, which was almost as big as the whale that had destroyed the towns, swallowed the dragon. No sooner had it done so, however, than the giant bird swooped down and gobbled up the snake. "That was a good fat worm for breakfast," called the bird. "Now I shall rest." It flew towards a gigantic tree, which now appeared. So tall was it that its upper branches were lost in the clouds. The bird perched on a branch of the tree. "Proceed along the coast until you come to 2 bridges," said the bird. "There you will find Hamas. Give him 2 cups of wine to drink. Then you can slay him. But be sure you take the diamond from his cap. I, the Ziz, give you this warning." Rabbi thanked the bird for this information and with Ali continued on his journey. Well, after 3 days they came to a river crossed by 2 bridges, and with 1 foot on each stood Hamas. As soon as he saw them, he began to run, but Rabbah called after him, "We bring thee an offering of good wine." And he promptly returned. Rabbah filled 2 cups, which he had from his leathern bottle, and Hamas took a cup in each hand, smacking his lips as he did so. "See," he said, as he tossed the wine into the air, and the wine from the right cup fell into the left-hand cup, and that from the left-hand cup fell into the right, and not a drop was spilt. Then he swallowed them both at one gulp. Almost immediately he fell down in a stupor, and Rabbah stabbed him again and again with his spear. Yet, when he seemed quite dead, he jumped up again. "The diamond!" cried Rabbah excitedly to Ali, and Ali snatched it from the cap of Hamas. Then the demon fell dead. "We can now return," said Rabbah, and they set out at once, taking the body with them. They halted only to take food. And the first time they did so, a funny thing happened. Ali had killed an animal, and Rabbah had caught some fish, and while they were cooking, Rabbah took out the jinn's diamond from his pocket and examined it. At once, the fish and the animal came to life again, jumped out of the cooking pot, and made off. "This is a magic diamond," said Rabbi. "Oh, you think so? Huh?" Anyway, it has the power to bring dead things to life. We keep it covered when we wish to eat. Yeah, good idea, huh? Okay. And they did so. And after long journeying, they came in sight of the great wall and at last reached the place from which they had started. They had been away 12 months in all, and the people were heartily glad to see them, especially when they learned that Hamas had been killed and saw his body. They had worked hard on the carcass of the huge whale, where rebuilding the 60 towns and villages that had been destroyed with the bones of the monster, using the skin as covering for their tents. With the help of the magic diamond, Rabbah called the Ziz, and it took the ship, which had been carried into the forest, in its beak and flew with it to the sea. Gathering their old comrades, Rabbah and Ali set sail for home. All the inhabitants stood on shore and cheered as long as the ship was in sight. They were sorry that Rabbah was gone, but they felt certain now that Hamas was dead, that never more would they be troubled by monsters which brought them such terrible disasters. And that is the end of the story. Aha! So, we are just telling one story tonight because the next story is a long story, and we don't want to stop in the middle. No more cliffhangers. We just do the stories, okay? So, don't forget, tomorrow night is the Rabbis Discuss, and Rabbi Craig Rykoff is going to join us, and he is going to be on, and we are going to talk about the current situation in Eretz Israel. On Wednesday is the Torah study with Rabbi A and the Rabbi Anshel, and it's going to be this week's Parsha, which is Lech Lecha. And then on Friday is Kabbalat and Mariv, the Shabbat service at 8 p.m. All times are Eastern. And then on Shabbat morning at 10 a.m. is Shachrit and Musaf. And then Monday, right back here for the next story, which is going to be the Outcast Prince. So until the next time, my dear friends, we are simply going to say Laila Tov.